Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet this pretty dress which can be made in any size from baby to adult. So for my dress I used a 5mm crochet hook and DK weight yarn. So thank you very much for watching and please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. So to begin our dress we are going to start off by working the front. And to start the front we are going to make a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, take your yarn and take your finger and wrap the yarn around your finger once and then twice. Then take the first loop and pull it over the second loop, and then take the second loop and pull it all the way over your finger. You then want to take your crochet hook, so take your hook, go in through this space and pull tight. And there you have a slip knot. So once you have your slip knot, we are now going to make our foundation chain. And you can make your foundation chain as long or as short as you like, but the length of your foundation chain is going to be determined by how wide you want your dress to be. So if you have a look at my dress here, which I have already done, we're working the front, so this is the front here. So you want to make your foundation chain to go along the bottom along this length here. So you want to make it to the width that you want your dress to be. And your foundation chain must also be a multiple of 3. So you can chain 30, 33, 60, 69. It's up to you, but make your foundation chain to the width that you want your dress to be, and also make sure it's a multiple of 3. So make your foundation chain. So I have just finished making my foundation chain, and for this video I am just going to make a tiny little newborn size. So I just chained 33, but if you are doing your dress for an older baby or a toddler or a child or even a teenager or an adult, your chain will be much longer. And then once you have your chain, we are ready to begin round 1. So we are now on to round 1 of our dress. And round 1 is just a simple round of double crochet. So we are just going to do 1 double crochet into every single chain along our foundation chain. And we're going to work our first double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain from the hook, and here is the second chain. And into this chain we're going to do our first double crochet. So to do a double crochet, yarn over and go into the chain, the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops on your hook. So there we have 1 double crochet into that chain. So now yarn over and go into the next chain and do a double crochet into this one. Then do the same thing into the next chain and do this all the way along. 1 double crochet into every single chain. So I have just finished working that all the way along for round 1, and at the end of this round you should find that you have 1 less double crochet than you chained at the beginning. So I chained 33, so I should have 32 double crochets in round 1. So if you chained 69, you should have 68. If you chained 45, you should have 44. So make sure that you have the right number of double crochets, 1 less than you chained. And if you do, we are ready to move on to round 2. So we are now on to round 2 of our dress. And to begin this round, chain 1 and turn. And this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So now in round 2, we are just going to do 1 double crochet into every single stitch. So it's just another round of plain double crochet. So we're going to start off by going down into this very first stitch here, as our chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So yarn over and go down into this very first stitch and do 1 double crochet, and then do 1 into the next stitch and 1 into the next, and continue this all the way along for round 2, 1 double crochet into each stitch. So I am just coming to the end of round 2, and I just wanted to show you that at the very end of the round you want to go into this last double crochet here. So make sure you are not going into the chain 1 at the end here. So this is the chain 1 that we skipped when we worked into the second chain from the hook. Make sure that you are not going into that chain 1, as it did not count as a stitch. Make sure that you're going into this last double crochet here, so it should be a longer stitch. So go into this double crochet like that, and at the end of this round you should have the same number of double crochets as you had last round. So I had 32 double crochets in round 1, so I should still have 32 in round 2. And we are now ready to move on to the next round. We are now on to round 3 of the front of our dress. And for the next part of the front of the dress, we are just going to repeat round 2, so the round that we just did, again and again and again, until you reach where you want to start decreasing for this top section here. So if you have a look at my dress, which I have already done, this is round 1 at the very bottom. So we have our foundation chain, which goes across the width of the front. We then have round 1 and round 2, and then you just repeat round 2 again and again and again until you reach where you want to decrease for the top section. So this should be just under the arms, so just under where the arms or the sleeves would start. That is when you want to stop repeating round 2. So if you are making this dress for a baby or a young child, then you may only have to work 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, 12 rows. But if you are doing this for an adult or an older child, then you will have a lot more rounds or rows to work. And also the amount of rounds you will need to work will depend on how long you want your dress to be. So you could just do this in a short dress or a top and work a few rounds, or you may want a longer dress and then you will have to work more. So just keep repeating round 2 until you reach where you want to start decreasing, so just under the arms. So we are going to begin our very first repeat of round 2. So to begin each round, chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 never counts as a stitch. And then we're just going to do 1 double crochet into each stitch along. So yarn over and go down into this very first stitch and do 1 double crochet, then do 1 into the next one and 1 into the next, and keep doing this all the way along, and you should have the same number of double crochets in every single round, so you should still have 1 less double crochet than you chained. And then when you get to the end of the round, repeat that again. Chain 1 and turn and do 1 double crochet back up, chain 1 and turn, do 1 double crochet back down, and keep repeating that round. So I have just finished doing those repeats of round 2, and this is what I have. And for the sake of this video, I have only done a few repeats, but when you are doing your dress, you will have a much longer section. So yours will be up to about here or longer if you are doing a bigger size. So I have just done a few repeats and I am now ready to move on to the upper part of the front of the dress. So in the upper part, we decrease on the sides here, and then we add the flower row at the top. So we are now on to round 1 of the upper part of the front of our dress. So to begin this round, chain 1 and turn. And now to start off, we are going to work a stitch called 2 double crochets together. So when we do 2 double crochets together, we are doing 2 double crochets, 1 into each stitch, but then we are not going to complete either of the double crochets, and then we're going to complete them both together at the same time. So we are effectively turning 2 stitches into 1. So we're going to start off by working 2 double crochets together. So to begin this stitch, yarn over and go down into the very first stitch here, as the chain 1 did not count as a stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So just as you would for a normal double crochet, but we are not going to complete this double crochet. Usually we would yarn over and pull through these 2 loops to complete the stitch, but we are not going to do that. We are going to move on to the next one. So yarn over and go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So just as you would for a normal double crochet, but we are not going to complete this double crochet either. So we should now have 3 loops on our hook and 2 incomplete double crochets, 1 and 2. This is the little chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and then we have 2 incomplete double crochets, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook to complete the stitch. So there we have done 2 double crochets together, and we have turned 2 stitches into 1. And now what we're going to do for the rest of this round is we are going to work 1 double crochet into every single stitch along until you get to 2 stitches from the end. So here is the little chain 1 at the end, and this does not count as a stitch. So you want to go all the way along until you reach these 2 last double crochets here. So not the chain 1, the 2 last double crochets. So yarn over and go into the next stitch and do 1 double crochet. Then do 1 into the next one, and do this all the way along until 2 stitches from the end. So I have just finished working that all the way along, and I have stopped 2 stitches from the end. So I have 1 and 2, and remember, do not count this little chain 1. This does not count as a stitch. I have 2 double crochets left. And then to finish off this round, so round 1 of the upper part of the front, we are going to do a last set of 2 double crochets together. So just like we did at the very beginning of the round, we are going to do 2 double crochets together at the end of the round here. So we're going to do the exact same thing as we did before. Yarn over and go down into the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, but do not complete this double crochet and move on to the next one. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, so the very last stitch of the round, pull up a loop and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 2 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 3 loops on your hook, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 3. So there we have finished round 1. So it's just a round of double crochet with 2 double crochets together at either end, and we're ready to move on to the next round. So we are now on to round 2 of the upper part of the front, and for the next 5 rounds, so for rounds 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, we are just going to repeat round 1. So that is the round that we just did, so double crochets with 2 double crochets together at either end. So we're going to do 5 repeats of round 1. So we're going to start our first repeat, so the first of the 5. So chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And we are now going to do 2 double crochets together. So just as we did last round, we're doing 2 double crochets, but not completing either of them, and then completing them both together at the same time. So yarn over, go down into this first stitch here, pull up a loop and pull through 2 loops. Then yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So there we have one set of 2 double crochets together. So now we're just going to do 1 double crochet into every single stitch along, just like we did last round, until you get to 2 stitches from the end. So I'm doing double crochets all the way along. So I have finished working double crochets all the way along until 2 stitches from the end. So here is the little chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and then here are the last 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And if you're not sure where to stop, it can be easier to turn your work over like this, and then you can see the 2 last stitches clearly. So 1 and 2. And then we are going to finish off this round by doing 2 double crochets together. So just as we did at the beginning of the round, do 2 double crochets together, like that. So there we have finished our first repeat, so we need to do 4 more. So we have done rounds 1 and 2, so we need to do rounds 3, 4, 5 and 6. So 4 more repeats. So chain 1 and turn to begin each round, do 2 double crochets together, double crochets all the way along to 2 stitches from the end, and finish off by doing 2 double crochets together. So do that 4 more times. So I'm just coming to the end of round 6, and this is what I have. So you can see that by doing those rounds, we are decreasing on the sides. So each time we do 2 double crochets together, we are taking 1 stitch out from the edge on either side. So we are taking 6 from each side in total, and this gives us the decrease. So this is where the arms will go. So I'm just coming to the end of round 6, the very last repeat. And at the very end of this round, we need to change colours, as next round is going to be our flower round, or our row of flowers. So I'm going to change colours to a green colour, as that way it looks like the green is the stem and the leaves of the flower, but you can change colours to whatever colour you like. And we are going to change colours at the very end of this round, so that then we will have our new colour ready to move on to the next round with. So I'm just coming to the end of round 6, and I have 1 last stitch to work, and that last stitch is the 2 double crochets together, and I'm going to change colours whilst doing this last stitch. So yarn over and go down into the first stitch and do 1 incomplete double crochet as we have done before. Then yarn over, go into the very last stitch and do a second incomplete double crochet as you have done before. But usually we would yarn over and pull through these 3 loops here to complete the stitch. And what we're going to do this time, we're going to change colours at this stage here. So we are going to drop the yarn that we were using, take our new colour, so I'm taking the green, place it over the end of our hook and pull it through like that. And there we have finished the stitch and finished the round and changed colours at the same time. So now you can fasten off the colour that you were using. So cut the yarn you were using before, leaving a tail to weave in later. And we're ready to move on to round 1 of the flower round. So we are now on to round 1 of the flower round. And to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn. And this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And I'm using my new colour here. So now to begin this round, we're going to work 1 double crochet down into this very first stitch. So yarn over, go down into the stitch and work 1 double crochet. And now we're going to skip the next stitch. So skip this next one here, and then into the next one, we're going to do a V. So we're going to do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all into the next stitch. So skip this one and into the next one, do double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet into the same stitch. And this gives us a V, like that. And now we're going to skip 2 more stitches. So skip 1 and then 2. Then into the next stitch, we're going to work another V. So skip 2 stitches and then do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into the next one, and then skip 2 more stitches, 1 and 2, and we're going to repeat this all the way along. We're going to do a V into the next stitch, skip 2 stitches, V into the next, skip 2 stitches all the way along. And the more chains that you did at the very beginning, the more V's you will have to do. So just keep repeating that all the way along for your round. So we have done a V, skip 2 stitches. So into the next stitch, we're going to do a V. So each V is double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Then skip 2 stitches, do a V into the next. And just continue this all the way along. And like I said, for a V, you do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So I have just finished working that all the way along, and I have worked my last V here. And you should find that you have 2 stitches left at the end of the round, 1 and 2. And we are going to skip the next stitch here, so skip the second to last one. And then into the very last stitch at the end of the round, we're going to do 1 last double crochet. But whilst working this very last double crochet, we are going to change colours to the colour that we want our flowers to be in. So we are going to change colours at the end of this round, just like we did before, so that we have our new colour ready to use in the next round. So work 1 last double crochet into this last stitch. So we're skipping the second to last one, and into the last stitch at the end here, work 1 double crochet, but then right before the very last step, so usually we would yarn over and pull through these 2 loops here. You want to stop at this point, drop the yarn that you were using and take your new colour. So I'm going with a light pink. Place it over the end of your hook and pull it through. And there we have finished the round and finished the stitch and changed colours at the same time. So now we're ready to move on to the next round. So we are now on to the flower round, and I have fastened off the green colour I was using before. So I just cut this yarn and left a tail to weave in later, and I am moving on to my new round using my new colour. So to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So now to begin this round, we're going to go down into this very first stitch here, so this last double crochet at the end, and work 1 double crochet. So go down into this first stitch and work 1 double crochet. And now we're going to skip on to the next V here. So you can see this very first V, and we're going to go into the center of this V, and we're going to work 3 double crochets together. So we're going to go into the middle of the V and work 3 double crochets together. So when we do 3 double crochets together, we are doing 3 double crochets, but we are not going to complete any of them, and then we're going to complete all 3 of them together at the same time. So it's a very similar thing to what we did down here with the 2 double crochets together, but for this time we're going to do 3 double crochets, and we're going to do them all into the V. So we have done a double crochet. So now skip on to the middle of the first V, yarn over, go into the space, pull up a loop and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 1 incomplete double crochet, and we need to do 2 more. Yarn over, go back into the same space again, pull up a loop and pull through 2 loops. So there we have 2. So we want to do 1 more. Yarn over, go back into the space, pull up a loop and pull through 2 loops. And you should now have 4 loops on your hook, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 4 to complete the stitch. So there we have done 3 double crochets together, and this gives us our little flower like that. So now you want to chain 2. So chain 1 and 2. And we're now going to skip on to the middle of the next V. So here's the next V here. And we're going to go in the middle of this V again and work 3 double crochets together. So yarn over, go into the middle of the next V, pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, go into the middle, pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, go into the middle, pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook, like that. So there we have done 3 double crochets together into that V, and now you want to chain 2 again. So chain 1 and 2. And you want to repeat this all the way along. We're going to do 3 double crochets together, chain 2, 3 double crochets together, chain 2, all the way along. And obviously the longer your round is and the more V's you have, the more of those repeats you will need to do. So keep repeating this all the way along. So I am just coming to the end of this round. So I have one last V to work into. So we're going to do 3 double crochets together into this last V. So just as we have done all the way along, do 3 double crochets together into the V at the very end. But then we are not going to chain 2. You do not want to do the chain 2. Instead, we're just going to go into this last stitch at the very end and work a final double crochet. So we have done 3 double crochets together, then we're going to go into this last stitch at the end here and work a final double crochet. But then whilst working this double crochet, we're going to change colours back to the original colour we were using. So I'm going to go back to my hot pink. So we're going to do that whilst working the double crochet. So when you get to the very last step of the double crochet, drop the yarn that you were using and take your new yarn, place it over the end of your crochet hook and pull it through. And then you can cut the yarn that you were using, and we're ready to move on to the last round or the last few rounds of the top of our dress. So now to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn, and I am back using my original colour. So now this round is just a simple round of double crochet. So we're just going to do 1 double crochet into every single stitch along. So yarn over and go down into this very first double crochet here and do 1 double crochet. So go down into the very first stitch and do a double crochet. Then you want to move on to your first flower and do a double crochet into this flower. Then you want to move on to the first chain space, and into this chain space we're going to do 2 double crochets. So as the chain space is a chain 2, we need to do 2 double crochets into this space. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next flower. So do 1 into each flower, then into the next space do 2 double crochets. And repeat this all the way along. So you do 1 into the flower, 2 into the space, 1 into the flower, 2 into the space, all the way along. So we're doing double crochets. So I am just coming to the end of that round. So I have done 1 double crochet into this last flower here, and then we're going to finish off by doing a double crochet into this very last double crochet at the end. So you do a double crochet into the flower, then 1 into the one at the end. So now once you have done that last round of double crochet, if you feel that your dress is the right size, so it's the size that you want it to be, so this is the very top of your dress and you think that this is high enough, then you can move on to making the straps. But if you are doing this dress for an older child or a teenager or an adult, you may want to do 1 or 2 more rounds of double crochet just to make it a little bit higher. So just chain 1 and turn and do 1 double crochet into each stitch along, and then do that as many times as you like until you feel it is high enough. But for me, this is the right length, this is the perfect size for my dress. So if you have a look at my one here, that's what I did for this one as well. I did my flower round and then 1 round of double crochet at the top, but you could add a second one on or a third one before putting on the straps if you wanted it to be a little bit higher or a little bit bigger. But for me it is the right size. So now I'm going to move on to the straps. So now to make the straps, it's very simple. We're going to start off by doing this side first. We're going to do this strap, finish it off, and then do the strap on the other side in the exact same way. So to begin the straps, you want to chain 1 and turn, and then we're just going to do 2 double crochets. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 into the first one, and then 1 into the next. And if you wanted thicker straps, you could do a third one. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn, and then do 1 double crochet into each of those stitches, into each of those 2 stitches. So there's round 2. So now to begin round 3, we're just doing the same thing, chain 1 and turn, and then do 2 double crochets, 1 into each stitch. And keep repeating that round again and again and again until you feel that your strap is long enough. So if you are doing a baby or a children's size, then you will not need to do as many rounds as if you are doing a bigger size. But just keep repeating those rounds of chain 1 and turn, and then doing 1 double crochet into those 2 stitches again and again. And for my purple dress, I did 24 rounds in total. So the dress does have quite a low back, and for my straps, I wanted them to cross over. So if you do want to do a crossover, they will need to be a little bit longer. So I did 24 rounds in total, and like I said, the back is quite low, so they do need to reach quite far down. So make sure you do enough rounds. And then once you have your straps to the length that you want them, so that might be 20 rounds, 25, 30, it's up to you. You then want to fasten off, so pull your yarn out and your hook and cut your yarn, and make sure that you leave quite a long tail or a long end, as you can then use that end to attach your straps to the back of the dress. And then you want to work the other strap in the exact same way. Start off by attaching your yarn into the very corner stitch here, and then chain 1, and then do 2 double crochets, chain 1 and turn, and keep repeating those rounds until the strap is the exact same length as the other one on the other side. And then once you have done your 2 straps, we will have completely finished the front of our dress, and we are ready to move on to the back. We are now on to the back of our dress, and the back of our dress is very simple. You just want to do the exact same thing as you did for the front of the dress. So you want to work a slip knot, then do your foundation chain to the exact same length as the front. Then do round 1, so double crochet into the second chain from the hook and all the way along. Then do round 2, so chain 1 and turn and do double crochets all the way along, and you should have 1 less double crochet than you chained. And then keep repeating round 2 again and again and again until you reach where you want the decreases to start, so just under where the arms are. And you need to make sure that you do the exact same number of repeats as you did for the front. And then you want to do round 1 of the decrease rounds. So these are the 6 rounds where we did 2 double crochets on either side and then double crochets in the middle. These are our decrease rounds here, so up here and up here. And for the front we did 6 of those rounds, but for the back you just want to do 1. So you do your repeats of round 2 and then 1 of the decrease rounds. So you can see here, this is my very last round of the back, and I did 2 double crochets together, double crochets all the way along until 2 stitches from the end, and then finished off by doing 2 double crochets together. So you just want to do 1 of those rounds instead of 6 like the front. And then you want to fasten off, so pull your yarn out and your hook and cut your yarn. So it's the exact same thing as we did for the front, but you're just stopping here. So you're stopping after 1 decrease round, and then you can sew the front and the back of your dress together. So we're just sewing them up along 2 sides, so along here and along here. And I will show you how to do that now. So to sew the front and the back of your dress up, we're just sewing it along both sides. You want to take a yarn needle or a tapestry needle like this, and then a long piece of yarn in the same colour. And to sew it up, we are going to use the whip stitch. So you want to take your front here and your back and line them up perfectly. So line the top and the bottom up perfectly, making sure that all of the stitches match. And then we're going to go through the very end stitch here at the very bottom, and then through to the exact same stitch on the opposite side, and pull our yarn through. So like that. So I have pulled my yarn through, and now we're going to come back around to this side here and go into the next stitch, and then the same stitch on the opposite side, and pull your yarn through again, so like that. And we're going to continue this all the way along. So with the whip stitch, you always go through the same side, so you always come through this side here. So you go through 1 stitch, then through to the same stitch on the opposite side, pull your yarn all the way through, like that. Then you want to come back around to the same side again. So we always go through the same side. So you come through to the same side, go to the next stitch, go all the way through and pull it through. And we're going to do this all the way along. So you go through this side, all the way through and up, through this side, all the way through, up, around, up, 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 all the way down, still making sure that your stitches line up perfectly. And then when you get to the very end, do a couple of stitches into the last stitch and then pull your yarn all the way through and weave that end into the inside of your dress. So we're going along like this all the way to sew up the dress. So to sew the front and the back together. So you always go through the same side. So sew up this side using the whip stitch, and then once you have done this side, do the exact same thing on this side. And the whip stitch gives us a really nice seam, so we can hardly see the seam, and that's what's really nice about the whip stitch. And then once you have sewn up both sides, you now want to take your two straps and sew them to the back. So when you sew them to the back, use the ends from where you fastened off, and you want to make sure that you go an equal distance from this side on both sides. So for me, I went 8 stitches from this side here. So there's 8 stitches, and then I attached my strap, and then I did 8 stitches on this side and then attached my strap, and make sure that they're not twisted. And you could just put them straight down, or you could cross them over like I did. It's completely up to you. Or you could add 2 little buttons here and then use the spaces in between the stitches of the straps as button loops. But once you have done that, weave all of your ends into the inside of your dress. You can see I still have to do that. But then we have finished. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it easy to follow. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. And in the description box below this video, I will leave a link to where you can find my written patterns if you are interested. And also I will leave a link to my Twitter. So if you would like to go and follow me on there, I always post updates and pictures of upcoming tutorials. And I would love to see photos of your crochet work on there as well. So thanks again for watching. Bye!